Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this session of Phys Ed Summit 2019. My name is Dr. Martha James Hassan. I'm here with three of my fabulous students at Morgan State University. We're going to be here giving you a presentation called Four Birds, One Community Partnership, playing off the idea of three birds in one stone, the idea that in education we need to be able to double dip and hit everything twice. They're going to share with you some of their experiences and some of their highlights in what's called SALA, the Summer Arts and Learning Academy, which is a three-way partnership between Young Audiences of Maryland, the Baltimore City Public Schools, and Morgan State University, focusing in on advantages and outcomes that have been good for all three of those community partners, and then really doing a deep dive into the impacts of those experiences on early college students. So the idea is that students from Morgan who are in the physical education department, whether they are exercise science or teaching majors, have the opportunity as sophomores to go out and get paid to be in schools and have experiences leading physical education classes. They work in partnership with a mentor, licensed physical educator, and another Morgan student. So there's two Morgan students who are mentees and an intern that work together. The project began 3 years ago when I, as a school board member, was out looking at summer programs in Baltimore City schools, and realized that the Young Audiences program really valued and understood the importance of physical activity in the days and lives in the academic world of young people. The challenge was they were hiring an external organization to provide this service. When I asked how come they weren't hiring licensed teachers who were in the system, it honestly had never occurred to them. And beyond that, they weren't quite sure how to write curriculum or support those individuals. So I stepped up and I volunteered to write the curriculum, as well as to provide professional development annually for not just the physical educators that work within the SALA program, but the entire organization. So over the last 2 years, SALA has provided professional development to over 500 teachers and 200 community artists, and at their 8 sites. And then now we had 10 Morgan students last year, and this in our second year we have 16 Morgan students out working. So with that, I will turn it over to my fine colleagues and let them share. I will also add, however, that we have one of our colleagues who's not in this due to a technical error in the original recording. Bria Jones is not here with us, but hopefully some of the colleagues will be able to share some of her insights and experiences on her behalf as well. All right, so Javon, I'll let you take it away. Thanks.
Right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Javon Santos. I am a senior exercise science major hailing from the island of Jamaica, and I will pretty much be serving as the facilitator, as the narrator of the presentation. So first, I just want to start off by listing our objectives. And our objectives today are simply just sharing our experiences that we've had over the summer program, some of the challenges we faced, also touching and talking about some of the benefits, what we've gained, and, just having a pretty much a regular conversation, informing you guys about everything. Before I do that, though, I do want to start off by talking about our illustrious university, which is the Morgan State University. It is the largest of 4 HBCUs founded in the state of Maryland, or historically black universities. It was founded in 1867, and it has currently about approximately 8,000 students. Of that 8,000 students, there are about 400 of us who are in the ESPEchat department, or that covers teacher education and exercise science as well. And also we'll be talking about, as we are partnered with Baltimore City Public Schools, we're talking about Baltimore City Public Schools, which has currently about 85,000 students and 170 schools across the entire city of Baltimore. It is the 4th largest school system in Maryland and has about a $1.3 billion budget. It has, as far as demographics goes, 80% of the students are black, 11% are Latinx, and the remaining 8% are white. Of that total number, about 14% of the students in Baltimore City Public Schools are students with disabilities. And just to give you guys an idea, less than 20% of the Baltimore City Public Schools are reading on or less than grade level. These students also face tons of other challenges, whether it be violence in the community, violence in the home, no heat in their buildings, and water that's not even drinkable in the building. We'll also partner with Young Audiences of Maryland. Young Audiences was founded in 1950 by Miss Nina Collier, and their mission of Young Audiences is essentially connect educators with artists in order to teach students differently from what they learn through the school year. Rather than just straight up learning in math, they use a bunch of interdisciplinary such as drums, tap dancing, and art that they wouldn't experience normally through the school year to make the learning experience a better one. All right, and we'll also be talking about SALA, or the Summer Arts and Learning Academy. Dr. Hassan touched on the structure of SALA, whether it be the 2 student interns per 1 lead teacher, but SALA also has over 500 teachers, 200 of which are local artists, paired with their regular teachers through the school year at about 8 sites. All right, so I'm going to stop talking because I know I'm talking a lot, and I'm going to let my peers introduce themselves.
All right, how you doing today? My name is Noah Johnson. I attend Morgan State University as well. I'm a senior, and I'm majoring in physical education with concentration in teacher education. I always wanted to become a teacher. Physical education has always captivated me. Being a student myself, as well as just growing up, I always had a need to help others. So coming into college, finding my route, and just having other people around me influence me, I ultimately chose to become a teacher.
Hello, I'm Winston Bowman. I'm also from Maryland. I am also a senior at Morgan State University, and I became a physical education major because I wanted to be involved in the community. I wanted to be involved in the next generation of America. I think a lot of people complain about what's going on with our youth and what's wrong with them, but they don't involve themselves in any of the youth's lives in any capacity, with the exception of what might be their family members. And so I think the best way to change an issue is to get involved with the said issue, and that was an opportunity that teaching gave me. And within that, I think teaching physical education was something that just fit my natural skill sets, fit my natural desires to teach, and you get to teach so many children, you get to touch so many lives, and I feel like it's really the best way to make the largest impact in the funnest way possible, actually.
And as we mentioned before, we are missing Bria. Bria is also a senior physical education major, and unfortunately, due to technical issues, she couldn't be here. So the first question I really want to toss out to you, gentlemen, is what was the best thing from Solid that you guys got? Like, what was the best thing about Solid for you this summer?
I think the best thing for me that I got from Sala was just the ability to pick up classroom management skills. That was one of my largest anxieties going into teaching, and I think it was honestly an opportunity in a somewhat low stakes environment to be able to move on from that, and being able to have a mentor with you to be able to guide you on, okay, this is where you may want to shy away from as far as things to do in the classroom, or this is some things that you did well, or okay, don't be so hard on yourself. This is something that's normal and for someone in this stage of your teaching career to do, and I feel like it really just expedited some of the problems that I had in being able to be as good as a teacher that I can be in the future.
For myself, Solid has been a great, incredible experience for myself. It has allowed me just to work on my teaching strategies as well as working with other students to make things happen. Pause it. Nope. Moving on.
Life is real.
All right.
Yeah, so the next conversation is about specific benefits to the partner organization. So you got those benefits from Sala. What did Sala get from y'all?
Yes. So, with the title of the presentation being what it is, 4 birds with 1 community partnership. We're going to talk about, fellas, the specific birds being specific benefits. And the first bird or benefit is, what did the partner organization, Sala, what did they get from us? So, rather than hiring an outside entity organization who might not have had, the hardcore teaching experiences that we've had, we are handpicked and hand selected. We go through a screening process. We actually have some of us have actually done this before. So we have the experience in the classroom. We have siblings at home, stuff like that. On top of that, not only are the interns handpicked and screened, but there are teachers, actual physical educators throughout the year, who are hired as well. And these are genuine, licensed, unionized teachers. And on top of that, we also, I believe, we get about 40 hours professional development before we start. So those are some pretty good benefits. Do you guys think there are any other benefits to Solid that they get from us?
I think what Sala gets from us is people who genuinely want to be there and who aren't there just to collect a check. I think when you that's something I've worked with children, in previous summers with different companies before, and that is a real issue. And I think to have people who are eager to learn, people who are also eager to teach, who are really vested in the principles of Sala, the principles of mindfulness, and to be able to implement that, and people who are excited to work with children, I feel like it presents a unique opportunity for Sala to be able to have the best people out there possible.
People who aren't just there for a check. I definitely agree. What about you,
It also just gave them the opportunity to see or experience like what physical education has to offer besides just the physical activity. We had structure within it that allowed them to get a chance for mindfulness. They worked on their self-responsibility. So even though we had that opportunity to work with the kids during recess and during our athletic program, I believe just working with us or having physical education as a component for a young audience, it just gave them an opportunity to see the impact that it has on their kid once they went back into the classroom, or once they had the ability to have athletic program at the end of the day, and then how it transferred them or helped them become more peaceful as they went home. So physical education definitely had an impact on the students that allowed them on and off the school building that kept an impact with them.
And I would also like to piggyback off that. I think when you also bring in physical education teachers and physical education students into the learning environment, you have people who are just more capable in the sense of when you have children with learning disabilities and emotional disorders, being able to have people who are licensed in some aspects, or at least people who have taken classes, who have taken courses on, okay, I'm able to identify this child may be on the autism spectrum. So being able to have the empathy and to be able to have some of the lessons that you've learned in the classroom, to be able to implement and strategies to be able to incorporate them and not isolate them, because I think a lot of the times someone who may not have that sort of experience in physical education, they may say, well, they're just going to do whatever they do on the side, but all right, you normal kids, y'all do what I tell you to do. And also Sala had the benefits of having us being able to have our own plans and being able to implement low stakes competition, or no stakes competition, as we would like to say, where children aren't being hyper competitive. They're able to just simply learn the learning cues views of certain sports or activities and those critical elements just to be able to be successful and just being physical for fun. And those lives, and that can always benefit them whether they have a future that they would like to pursue in sports or just what we want, a future and a lifetime of physical activity.
I definitely agree, and especially when you talk about taking classes, those certain classes, and using person first terminology, or even understanding that some phrases like normal kids are unacceptable. So I definitely agree with you there. The next bird or benefit that we want to talk about, or that we're going to talk about, is the benefit to actually Baltimore City Public Schools. We've talked about the benefits that we've gained, that Sala has gained, but how has Baltimore City Public Schools benefit? I have a couple ideas, but I want to hear what you guys think.
So I think one of the biggest benefits that we were able to have was the structure that we had. So being able to incorporate an instant activity, being able to then come in with a community building activity, and then have the mindfulness, and then your athletics piece, or your sports based or athletic based piece. Being able to have that structure, being able to have children of different skill sets, be able to present themselves and be able to have confidence in different things. So, for instance, you may have some children who are very flexible, who may have a background in gymnastics,
Right.
but if we go into a soccer piece, they may not be as confident, they may not be as skilled. But in our mindfulness component, my side, we did yoga. So they may be very skilled in that, and so they have high self-efficacy for that. They have high energy. They're excited to do that, and so that brings them into the learning environment, ready to learn, and it makes them excited for even what they may not be that strong about, and it makes things community based, because it's okay. We're really good at this part of the class, or we may not be this good at the class, but it's not competition based.
Okay.
I heard from a wise woman, once competition begins, learning ends. And so when you take that stuff out, the children are 100% ready to go, and it just makes a way better learning environment.
Absolutely. What about you, Noah?
All right, kind of just to touch on what he said, just the fact of eliminating competition, it is really critical, because students, especially in certain impoverished neighborhoods, they're always competing, whether it's competing for survival, competing for food, competing for attention. So just to having that, offering that break for kids in Baltimore City, just to take a break from competition and enjoying the fun of just being active, has definitely left a big impact on them. For example, having a mindful activity of a virtual relay, where students both get that physical activity as well as learning virtue words that they could attach to themselves as well as to others, can hopefully impact them on communicating with each other, as opposed to always communicating in a negative way. Now they have a different outlet as the way to describe their friend or to describe their actions. Other things such as yoga or other mindful activities have given students a route to controlling their behavior and controlling their emotions, and understanding that there is a way to calm themselves down or interact with each other besides hitting, that they can interact and still be able to have that touching that kids need and desire so often, without having the ability to have to fight over something or fight with each other. So I think that this gave kids in Baltimore City definitely a different outlook on physical education, as well as a different outlook on how to interact with each other and using their own voices to communicate.
And I'd also like to piggyback on Noah's experiences of the play fighting, and how we've all seen how that can escalate into more physical and more serious violence.
Absolutely.
And so the structure that we implemented into the club course gave so little time, so few idle minutes in the classroom, that the kids were always involved in doing something. And I just really feel like that'd be just great to put into Baltimore public city schools, because then that can be involved in an English class, that can be in a history class. And so I feel like whenever we have the ability to have a universal outcome of just children being able to express themselves in a way that isn't violent, being able to express themselves in a way that is healthy, and that they can, use from one place of life to another, we've done what we needed to do as a teacher.
And absolutely, not only that, but also having someone in the classroom that looks like them. A lot of you guys watching might not know, but people that look like us are typically underrepresented in schools. So having a near peer mentors and teachers to look at someone who might understand certain cultural references that someone who's a little more seasoned or aged might not quite get or understand, and having our peers, their teachers or someone closer to them who can actually relate to what they're going through is also a big benefit. But not only that, where most students might get lost in a classroom where it's 30 students to one teacher, now they have 3 teachers, 2 interns and a lead teacher to learn from. We can actually focus on them, give them a little bit more instruction than they would have gotten in a regular classroom or classroom setting. So the third benefit that we want to talk on is just the benefit to you guys as physical education, teacher education majors. I personally, as a exercise science major, might not be able to quite, understand or really appreciate certain things that you guys might really hold on to. Like, oh my God, this is really helpful. So, just opening up the floor to you, what were some benefits that you guys faced or thought were something that was beneficial to you guys as teacher education from the SOUT program?
I think one of the benefits that I was able to receive, and this was definitely something that we all were able to receive, was being able to do a lot with a little. In the SOLID program, we didn't necessarily have like a budget of, you're going to, go to the store and buy everything that you want to do. We had to go to Playworks, which is a warehouse where you get,
Even the playing field.
Even the playing field, I'm sorry. And you go to this warehouse where you pick up secondhand equipment. And so with that, things are limited. And so while it's limited in your lesson planning, and you have to make adjustments on the fly. When you get into the teaching field, there's definitely teachers who can recommend, attest to this. You're not always going to be prioritized as a physical education teacher. Your budget is probably going to be the first one to get cut. So how can you still give lessons that are meaningful? How can you still give moments to children that they will remember for the rest of their lives when you don't have as much equipment? We were able to experience that before we even got into our student teaching. Another thing that we were able to learn was how to react as a teacher in situations that are hostile, or situations that are emergency like. So I have an example where we had a potential school shooting, or a potential school shooter or shooters. There was a student versus teacher basketball game going on, and which is something a lot of things people do just to get the children involved, and it rises morale. The score wasn't even taken, but we just really wanted to be able to have the teachers and students be able to be involved physically. And during that, other children were doing other games, and those games were outside. And so outside, students saw a van pull up with men in masks with guns. And so when they saw the people adjusting their guns, that everyone panicked. It was total. I don't want to say chaos because everybody was together, but you you're on lockdown, and so now you have students crying and you have to console them, but you also have to move on. We still had to teach our class. These sort of situations don't happen 5 minutes before dismissal. You still have to be able to go on for the students who are equipped emotionally to be able to, okay, I still want to be able to move on with our class. And so that's something that you're not going to be able to do. That's not something, that's not an experience you can buy. And so that, being able to be children's emotional rocks, being able to work on the fly, just not just for lessons, but emotionally being able to be there for kids. That's an incredible experience that I picked up.
I completely agree. Being able to shift that focus and being able to harness that emotion from to scared, and now we're to all right, guys, we understand, but we have to be focused on that physical activity.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to try and get through this together. So shifting that focus is definitely important. Understanding the little intricacies on how to do that is important. What about any benefits that you got from Sal as far as that he can help in your teacher education future?
Working with Sal, this has been my second year, so just working here just gave me the benefit of seeing how much we impact the students on a daily basis. Just working there, I had the opportunity to teach a kid how to jump rope. Although that might seem something so small, for her, that was just the biggest thing ever. And ever since then, every recess, she grabs that jump rope and she keeps working on it. So just be able to see the impact that you have on kids' lives, as well as having the ability to work on your craft. In this environment, it's not really a judging environment. And they understand that we are still interns, but they provide that help that we need in order to work on our craft, whether we have the opportunity to run the classroom by ourselves. As a mentor, even though there might be a mentor and other students there, we each have that individual time to have that spotlight and control over the classroom. So just working there has just gave me the ability to work on my craft and just to have the ability to see my growth within that time that I went there last year as well as today.
I definitely agree with both of you guys, and I feel like just certain situations like that other people might not experience are really important and really pivotal in helping you prepare yourself for the future, especially if you plan on teaching in an urban environment. Like, for example, one of my students, she was sitting on the bleachers. It was recess. She was crying, and I walk up to her. I'm like, "Why are you crying?" And she was like, "Oh, well, my dad left home last night and said he's never coming back." And just hearing stories like that breaks your heart, and having to shift that focus and console her and understand what she's going through emotionally, and helping her get refocused on the recess and having fun and having physical activity is important, and you gotta learn how to do that. And also, I also had a situation where one of my students came back to school the next day in the exact same outfit that he had on the day before. And it's dirty, has holes. I'm like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Well, I can't go home because my mom and dad are arguing, so I spent the night at my grandma's house." And just having extra shirts in the back of my car, and I was able to put this shirt on, and that made him feel better about himself. Because he was probably gonna be worried about, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get messed with, I'm gonna get teased." He's not gonna be able to focus on learning that day because of what he has going on. But just something as simple as giving him a different shirt helps him give that confidence that and stuff like that that you experience as a physical educator, as a teacher, is just completely unmatched and unparalleled.
Just to add to that, kids definitely, whether they're kids or adults, people go through real life experiences, and for physical education, that might be that time or that little 50-minute moment where they have to take a break from their real life experiences. So just having the ability to come in during that time and have something for those kids can definitely impact them more than you think. That's why physical education is so critical. We have kids that live in apartments or kids that live in homes which they don't even have the ability to have those toys. I know for Baltimore, there's not many basketball courts or just recreational spots for them to play. So having that limited time, just incorporating physical education and having that program in school is critical because students need that ability to let off that energy or let off that steam. And if they don't have that route, it's going to get built up, and then it leads to other things. So physical education has definitely been a critical thing and impacted kids throughout Baltimore. Plenty.
Thank you guys for sharing those benefits with us. The next thing I want to touch on is how has Sala benefited the profession of physical education as a whole? So how has it increased awareness? Have there been any moments where you guys find yourself advocating for physical education? You find yourself shifting the outlook of physical education, like, oh, physical education is just supposed to be dodgeball, running laps, and climbing rope. Like, so how do you guys, or how have you guys shifted that focus a little bit?
That's a good question. For me, at the school that I taught at, physical education here, what we provided, it gave the staff members as well as the parents just to see that physical education is more than just quick games or anything of that such. We gave an opportunity for today, for example, we presented a yoga story, and just doing that had gave parents came up to me just congratulating me and saying that was such a good idea, as well as other teachers incorporating physical education in their classroom, whether they do some type of dance move to figure out a math problem, or they do any other sorts of education, physical education activities that incorporate in their classroom. So it definitely had left a big impact on not only just the students, but on the staff members and how they can incorporate it into their classroom.
I completely agree. And that's another thing that I like about Sala is that it gives students the opportunities to use these different interdisciplinary art forms to help them in their classroom. Because you wouldn't think that dancing in a rhythm or tapping your feet to a drum or something like that can help you in math. But in actuality, you might be sitting at your desk taking a test one day and you're like, oh, what's after 3? And you start in class and it starts coming back to you, and you remember you learn through movement. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that or tap dancing through movement, and in actuality, the body starts to fall asleep after 15 minutes of sedentary activity. So just getting around and moving wakes your body up and starts preparing it. So I actually think that's that's a good point that you make. What about you, Winston?
I think one of the biggest benefits that Sala has for physical education is the structure that within their standards that they have for us. Mm-hmm. So once again, the instant activity and the community building activity and the mindfulness, all of those things, that structure, I feel like was one of the biggest benefits that we had. I also think one of the biggest benefits is incorporating different just objectives and making physical activity more so lifestyle based. I think when you stray away from competition, you make it easier to say, okay, I don't need somebody else to exercise. I don't have to be of a certain skill set, or I don't have to look a certain way. I don't have to be a certain thing so it basically means physical activity is for me, regardless of who you are, regardless of where you start. And I think that was one of the biggest things that Sala was able to do for physical education.
And not only that, but again, in physical education, what we see on TV is the jocks rule PE, and the people who are less physically inclined get hated. And with Sala and the low stakes competition, you don't have to be a 5-star athlete to be able to participate in physical activity, and it teaches that to them from a young age, and it creates that affinity for physical activity, for movement, and that combats the health problems that we have and stuff like that. So I think that was a really good point as well.
Just to add to that, you have to often think of how where physical education is right now in the regular school's curriculum. Oftentimes it's being pushed aside or limited. So for students that don't have that chance to experience physical education in that way, often have to deal with the choice of either basketball or football or a game in which once they're out, it's not getting back into and they're not learning any skills. Solid basically provided a chance for students to experience a versatile of learning and versatile of curriculums in which they can have the chance to get better at a sport or have a chance to get better at a certain skill that they might lack on. So once they get back into the curriculum during the school year, they might be in a better position than they were beforehand.
Actually, that was pretty good. I have one last question about the benefits of the profession. So based on my own personal experiences at my site, I tend to realize that it's not only the people who are outside the realm of teaching that tend to look down, for lack of a better term, on PE. Whether it be calling it gym, when a gym is a building, not really a subject matter, or just not really giving it the respect it deserves, whether it be lack of funding in the school year. But it's also been our peers, teachers themselves, who tend to look down on gym. They tend to think gym teachers are babysitters, or all they do is just let kids run around, and they don't really believe that we have structure in our class. So could you guys talk a little bit more about structured recess and just everything that goes into planning a PE class for you guys?
I think structured recess was a great idea because, especially when you have older children, that much idle time without anything specifically to do can just lead to loads of the play fighting, loads of actual fighting, and loads of instances where children are susceptible to bullying. And so I think one of the difficult parts of doing structured recess is, you have different skill sets and different interests that children have. So it's within a short period of time putting together activities with the space that you have, because some of us have less space than others and less equipment than others, to be able to put together something that gets all the children involved, all the children active for the time period of recess that they had.
For that, oftentimes when teachers believe those stereotypes, they're often been misled because that's not all physical education has to offer. One of the main rules or one of the main things we are concerned about is safety within the kids. So for something such as structured recess, there's different outlets we have to consider, whether it be the environment. We might be in an area where there's high drug trafficking or whatever the case may be. So we have to make sure that the kids are safe, whether we monitor the areas that they play in, picking up before they even get out there to make sure there isn't any trash or anything out there, such as any of that such things. Being able to have stationed recesses in order for kids to get the most out of it, whether even though we might have like 2 jump ropes and a few basketballs or something like that, we have to be able to have a station for each kid to be able to play with, whether it be with a basketball game or a group game altogether, because we have limited amount of equipment. As well as just having structures during the athletic program, which has allowed the breakdown of students to have that instant activity to relieve that build up energy before they can get the instructions, or having the students have a mindful or community building activity that will bring them together as a community, as opposed to feeling like that they only have to worry about themselves. Or even at the end, just having a breakdown of what we did today and an overview of that to allow the students to understand what they actually did today and what they could take from it. Physical education has definitely impacted kids in a way that most people won't understand, but as a whole, its structures has allowed people to get more things out of it other than physical education, as well as self-responsibility, behavior management, structure. All of that has allowed students to be able to be their best and get the most out of the physical education class.
I completely agree. And Winston, I just have a question for you. This is your first year with Solid. So what has changed in you most as a person or as a future physical educator from this program? Like, what has this program done or changed inside of you, if any, at all?
This program definitely just allowed me to be more confident going into not just physical education, but teacher education overall. Being able to speak with different teachers of different fields, as well as some of the artists, being able to have learn as many ways as possible to be able to engage children in physical activity. That was something that was very unique that I never had before. I've worked in summer camps for different companies prior, and that's all about having fun and so on and so forth. But it doesn't. You don't teach the children anything. They only know what they know, and if they don't know, they're kind of short. And so I think what you're able to do is you're able to teach them different skills, teach them different games, and that is something that I probably wouldn't be able to do. Okay, how can I teach a child how to skip? But it be natural. How can I teach a child yoga, but it be natural? These are things that if I were to just have, typical student observation, I more than likely wouldn't learn. But this, being able to do solid for the first year, I was able to pick up so much. It was a very humbling experience, but it was an experience in which I learned so much.
And Noah, for you and I, this has been our second year with Solid. So what would you say has been the most impactful thing from coming back a second year?
Well, just to have the ability to see the growth in the kids themselves is always a pleasure. But besides that, my second year, for most teachers or people that's taking the steps to become a teacher, you often think, because it's an overwhelming thing, that you might not be prepared to even teach, having 40 kids on your own and such things like that. But having the ability to monitor myself and see the growth in myself has definitely gave me the confidence to let me know that I at least am headed in the right direction to becoming a good teacher. And as well as just, like I said again, just seeing the impact. Most teachers know that you always going to have an impact on your kids, whether it's positive or negative. So just to have that impact or have to know that I can have an impact on the kids' life is always just like an important thing to me.
I completely agree. And I also think that, well, actually for me, being an exercise science major, I did this program at first because it was paid. I just wanted to try this teaching thing out. And, after that first year, I found myself questioning, like, hold up, like maybe, this teaching thing is for me. Just the bonds I've made with the teachers, the self-growth that I've experienced as well. So I had to come back and really give it a second shot to see, maybe it was just a fluke, or is this possibly where my life is leading? Is this maybe my true calling? And actually coming back the second year and seeing how much better I have become on the stuff that I've worked on last year and the skills that I've gained, and actually instead of letting my lead teacher lead like last year, I'm able to take more charge and actually have the things come out as planned. It's definitely caused me to question, do I want to switch my majors? And actually, there's been a few of us, I believe 3 of us had already switched our majors from exercise science to teacher education because of Solid. So stay tuned, I might be switching my major. So the last question I want to ask you guys. I know we've already spoken about challenges we face. We've all faced challenges. Bria has faced challenges. But what would you say has been the number one, absolutely most challenging thing you guys have faced? 1, and 2, how did you guys overcome it?
I probably would say between my first group and their field trip. So my first group, we had children from different neighborhoods. Some of these neighborhoods had issues with one another. So it was being able to, alleviate those issues and being able to teach children coping mechanisms in ways that do not lead to violence. but also being able to, a lot of those children were labeled as bad kids their entire, career. So they had such low expectations that being able to, being able to set in stone, okay, this is our schedule. This is what we are going to do, and we got a lot of pushback as far as that, and because often for them it's like, okay, I don't feel like being here. How can I get out of class? I'm gonna be loud. I'm gonna be disruptive. I'm gonna say something, mean about the teacher so I can so I can remove myself from something that's challenging. But it was being able to continue to push through. Like, no, I want to see you succeed. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a breather to the side, and come back when you're emotionally ready to be able to take on the task. And I think we had an issue in which during Artscape, and Artscape is an event, an annual event in Baltimore where there is a lot of activities for artists of all ages to be able to, view art, purchase art, be able to play video games from up and coming video game designers, being able to eat different foods from different vendors, and but it's during the summertime, and so as we know, summertime can lead to high agitation just because people are very uncomfortable because of the heat. And during, one of the instances during our Artscape, there was a fight between some of our students, and that may have been one of my most challenging moments as a teacher, because it's, okay, how can I separate the children, calm them down, and be able to still have them enjoy this event that they're supposed to be able to enjoy. And so took a huge toll on me emotionally, but it also pulled something out of me that I didn't know I had. It allowed me to step up as a leader in ways that I didn't know that I needed to step up. So that probably, just those first couple of weeks with my first group of people in my PE class, that was probably my most challenging part of my Sala experience.
What about you, Noah?
For myself, Sala has definitely been a pleasurable experience. The staff was definitely flexible working with us. There were things that we were missing, they would make up for. The students, there was abundance of students. They were actually pretty good as far as, even though kids would be kids, they took to having the ability to learn, stray away from the typical basketball and football and take a chance to learning something new. They took that pretty well. The hardest thing, one hard thing will probably be, we had a recess where there was pre-K, kindergarten, first and second, 5 different classes all at one recess. So it's like, what do we do when we only have 3 jump ropes and a couple of basketballs? We had to improvise. So that's just as far as splitting the groups up so that there's not too many kids or too much pressure on one teacher, and improvising. We brought out mats so kids could do a little bit of gymnastics. We handmade tic-tac-toe things. We brought out chalk, bubbles. So it was definitely different tactics we used to address those problems. So in all, the hardest thing or the hardest challenge was just waking up in the morning, making sure I get there on time, which I just set several alarms and made that happen. So overall, it's just been a pleasurable experience for me.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope our experiences and our struggles have definitely, given you guys a lot to think about, opened your eyes, and we will all need jobs in 6 months. So if you guys are hiring or anything like that, just contact us or give Dr. Hassan a call. All right, thank you.
So just to wrap up, within community partnerships, hopefully they have helped illustrate the benefits to the partner organization, the benefits to your program, the benefits to the local community, and then the benefits to the individuals. So strongly encourage you to look for those spaces of finding community partnerships that can supply resources when you need money. You can supply human capital when they need that. And all in all, it works to enhance the recruitment to the teacher field and in physical education. So thank you for paying attention. Thank you, gentlemen, for your fantastic work. and adieu.